Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and I talk a lot about Salesforce. Today we're going to be going over the Salesforce Certified AI Specialist Certification Exam Guide. This is kind of a first look for me and probably for you too, but this is going to be talking about this exam. I figured that this certification was probably coming down the pipeline. There was this empty space of AI certifications that I think Salesforce was waiting to release some of their AI tools before they released this full thing. So let's go ahead and jump into it a little bit. From what I've seen, this is going to be a little bit more heavily focused on their AI tools rather than the AI Associate, which focuses more on principles. So this will be really interesting to take. This is going to start Exams are going to start on September 9th. Watch out on September 9th for your LinkedIn. It's probably going to be blown up with people taking this exam and passing it and posting about it. So about this is designed for individuals who are aiming to harness the power of Gen AI. That's really interesting. So the AI Associate, it focuses a little bit on the differences between generative AI and predictive AI. So having it just be on generative AI, you can see that it's focusing a little bit more on those tools. It's going to be talking about the implementation of those solutions between admins, developers, architects, and the different AI capabilities for Copilot, Prompt Builder, and Model Builder. That's a little bit of a little spiel. Let's talk about the AI Specialist certification, what you do need to know and what you do not need to know. So you'll need to know Einstein features, capabilities, components, foundational AI concepts, large language models, prompts, models, tools. So what I'm gaining from that is that you'll need to know a lot of the language and a lot of the vocabulary, but you'll want to learn a little bit more about how to put those into practice. Familiarity with platform configurations, best practices of how to refine AI features, prompts, models, proficiency using sales emails, service replies with AI, Prompt Builder, Model Builder. Those are available in a developer org. However, I will say developer orgs with AI implemented into those are only available for 5 days. So after those 5 days, it will be closed off and you won't be able to use it. So if you are going to be studying for it, make sure that you understand that you won't be able to log into it again after 5 days. Prompt Builder, Model Builder, so you'll be working with those using Salesforce tools, navigating solutions, actions, or integrations. Personally, I haven't really seen too much about integrations in other Salesforce exams, so I don't know if it'll be heavily focused, maybe 1 or 2 questions on those. Knowledge of AI basics, machine learning, natural language processing. Here is a little bit of predictive analytics, so you might want to a little bit touch on those. Understanding of data quality. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot focused on data quality and the different ways that you can, as Salesforce here is saying, fine-tune your data, how to use Salesforce to clean data and keep it, duplicate-free, have a lot of your fields filled out so then a model can be created within Salesforce to then use to predict or to generate the best AI solutions. Those will be important. We'll talk a little bit about privacy and bias. So what I gain from that is that I'll talk about what goes wrong when you don't have the best data. So you can have bias within your data if you don't have true data. So if you have duplicates, it's going to create bias. If you don't have fields filled out, it'll create bias. It'll talk about engaging stakeholders in decisions on AI applications. So just how to talk with your manager about different AI applications, which opportunities can be used. So what I gain from that is that it will say, hey, in this scenario, you're wanting to implement AI. What's the best way to go about that for the scenario? That's what I gained from that. Next this is what's going to not be expected. Have extensive modeling knowledge of configuring and fine-tuning language learning models. So you won't need to understand, like on a doctorate level, how to fine-tune language learning models. Just a basic understanding will probably be sufficient and how it applies to Salesforce. You do not need to understand Apex or Python. You don't need to have expertise on external AI tools to pass the exam. However, I will say if you understand how ChatGPT works, how the different AI tools that are integrated within Salesforce, because I know you have obviously ChatGPT, but you also have like Google's version of it. You have a bunch of different versions that are available to you when you are creating your generative AI and using that in Salesforce. Those are pretty important. So having expertise of those will be helpful. It will probably help you pass 1 or 2 questions, or at least help you understand the basics to maybe use context clues if you're stuck on a tricky question. Understand transformer architecture. You don't need to perform an ROI calculation for this exam, but you should know, like, hey, this could be really beneficial. That's what I gain from just reading this description. You do not need to understand a white space analysis, but you should at least know what that is. You do not have to have experience with Marketing Cloud, Heroku, Commerce, MuleSoft, Tableau, Slack, Quip, or industry clouds. You should have knowledge of your basic functionalities of Salesforce. So Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, reporting. I think those are going to be like the biggest ones, but you don't need to have those certifications. Let's talk about the exam. 60 multiple choice questions, possibility of 5 extra ones, even though it doesn't say that. I just take that with a grain of salt across all certifications. I will say that it's about 50-50 for me if I've had those extra 5 questions or if I haven't. However, my husband, Jeremy, who you probably know from the channel, he has had 5 extra questions on every single one of his exams. So take that with what you will. Time allotted, 1 hour and 45 minutes, which is 105 minutes. There is no passing score set out here. Now, I would say it's probably going to be in the 60 to 70% range. Like low to mid 60s to low 70s. From what I have seen of Salesforce when they release new exams. So let's take a couple of examples. The business analyst exam was like 72 when it came out, and then they lowered it. Or maybe it was like in the 60s, and then they changed it. So, but it was within that range of the low 60s to the low 70s. So that's what I would guesstimate. Take that with what you will. That's usually what Salesforce exams do. You'll want to get probably around 45 questions right to pass. That's around 75% correct. So you have up to 15 questions to get wrong, with it just being the 60 multiple choice and not those extra 5 added on. But make sure you come back here. I'm sure that they will update this before September 9th. Yeah, the registration fee is going to be $200 US and taxes. I'm not sure what that would be for other countries. You will probably want to check that out on Web Assessor, which is where you take and register for your exams, and it will probably have that fee. The retake fee is going to be $100, so it's going to be half. You have delivery options of on-site, at a testing center, or proctored. Personally, I really like proctored, but it can be really difficult depending on your living situation to take it online at home. For references, no hard copy or online materials can be referenced, and no prerequisites for the exam. I will say that you have the option of taking notes while you are on the exam that you can reference throughout the whole exam, which I find really useful for a couple different strategies. One strategy I don't recommend is cramming and then writing down all your notes, where you were to just study as much as you can in like an hour right before your exam and then go in and then write down like a bunch of notes about what you remember from that. So then you can reference that on the exam because you remember most within the first hour of understanding information. I will say that is not the best strategy, but it has worked for me in the past. So take that with what you will. I recommend understanding the material and having a deep understanding of it so then you don't have to do that, but it has worked for me. So you do you. Another option is for note taking that I've also used in the past is you might have a question on question 30 that sparks something in your mind of remembering something that you studied. So let's take a history example. You're studying about the American Revolution. You might have a question on question 30 that you remember and spark something in your mind to go back onto question 12 and answer that more correctly than you otherwise would have. Or vice versa, you might think of something on question 12 that sparks something that you learned that you want to remember. So you write that down in the notes section, and then you can answer that more correctly on question 30. It's very similar to how this is set up right here. Hopefully you can see my cursor moving around. So let's pretend the exam is like the question. So you have the exam question, and then each of the answers is like a little bullet point. There's not going to be this many answers. I'm sure it'll be like a choose 1 out of 3, a choose 1 out of 4 type situation. Anywho, let's go back to the notes. This is going to be your answers over here, your question, and then there will be a big bar right here. And then over here, you'll have a notes section where you can take notes, which will travel across to each question, but you will not be able to take with you after the exam. That's a little bit of a help right there. I personally really like that change that they've made within like the past 2 years. You will have the option of providing feedback and comments on the individual questions, as well as, because this is a new exam, you'll be able to take a 10-question survey about your experience, and they will add it to what they look at when they go over the credentials. It will not take longer than 5 minutes. Personally, I have had that a lot where I've been invited to take a question or invited to take a survey. However, I don't like that they block your score for if you pass or if you don't pass from taking that survey. I don't take that survey because I just want to know if I passed or not. So if anyone from Salesforce Credential team is listening, please take that into consideration. I would take it more if it was after I understood my score. Yeah, recommended training resources. There's a trail, there's a module. It's recommended that you take the AI Associate, the admin, the platform app builder. So there'll be some information that'll cross over, but you don't have to. It's not required for you to pass. I will say that I have courses on all of these certifications over on Salesforce Upscale and some on Udemy Business. It's recommended that you possibly take a Trailhead Academy course. Personally, I don't find these too helpful for the price point. They are thousands upon thousands of dollars, and there are better resources online to help you pass and that are explained far better. However, I will say that if you are taking a higher up architect or developer exam where there are not great online resources, then I would look into the Trailhead Academy to get a better understanding. I would also try and get my employer to pay for a Trailhead Academy course because it's so expensive, but that is up to you. Now the exam outline, let's talk a little bit about that. At 15%, you have the Einstein trust layer. So that's going to be security, privacy, grounding features. Implement and manage the Einstein trust layer. I'm probably going to deal a lot with the different vocabulary pieces that are going to happen with the Einstein trust layer. Then you're going to talk about generative AI and CRM solutions at 17%, which this is going to be more of a scenario-based one, and it's just going to be features for sales and service. So I'm sure that all the questions in this section will cross over a lot as far as, hey, how would you apply this to sales? How would you apply this to service? Then it's going to be prompt builder at 37%. So I would study a lot on prompt builder, probably Einstein Copilot, and then generative AI and CRM solutions. Prompt builder, you do have access to this within a developer org. Again, it's only going to last for 5 days, so just be aware of that. And you'll talk about when it's appropriate to use prompt builder in a scenario or requirements, identify user roles to manage the prompt templates. So the different scenarios in which you would use different permission sets or roles and what have you for using and executing prompt templates. So creating a prompt template and executing prompt templates are going to be different permissions. So understand which permissions those are. Identify the considerations for creating a prompt template, given a scenario, identify the appropriate grounding technique, explain the process for creating, activating, and executing prompt templates. So since there aren't a lot of great resources yet, I would go through and look at different prompt templates. I would try to go into a developer org after looking at all the Trailhead orgs and trying and breaking it and trying to figure out how to make it work in different scenarios for sales and for service. And I'd spend a good chunk of time. And you know what? In studying for that exam, that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm not sure when I'll take this, but I will probably take it before the end of the year. Einstein Copilot. So given business scenarios, determine when it's appropriate to use Einstein Copilot. So I would understand the differences between Prompt Builder and Copilot when you'd use one versus the other, because that's probably going to show up on the exam as far as like, hey, this is going to be a tricky question to see if you actually studied or not. But I would imagine that those are going to be fairly easy questions if you have studied and you do understand those differences. Explain how a large language model identifies and executes a Copilot action, leverage standard Copilot actions and create custom Copilot actions, and then manage and monitor Copilot adoption. So go look at the reports of how that's being used. All right, and then at 8%, you will be doing a model builder, so creating a model, identify when it's appropriate. So a lot of this is going to be, hey, you're given this scenario, when would you want to use which tool? So it's probably going to give you like prompt builder, Copilot, model builder, when do you use when in the specific business scenario? And it's going to pin each of these things against each other. If you've studied, it should be a fairly easy question. If you haven't studied, then you'll be very confused. And that's kind of a lot of Salesforce exams are like that. Finally, you're going to talk about bring your own language model, generative models. I kind of laugh at this one because when I saw this for the first time, I think I scanned this once, but I just thought, wow, that's a very corporate Salesforce thing to say on an exam guide. But understanding just how to create different generative language, large language models. All right, but that's going to be the exam guide. Exam code of conduct, hey, don't share, use, or request exam questions or answers or super badge solutions, however you would say that. You will get your certifications taken away. You will get your super badges taken away. You can cancel any of your upcoming certification exams, and you can be blocked from taking any further Salesforce certifications. So just be aware of those. So you will be required to take maintenance modules. So don't let it expire. I don't know if they have one it doesn't look like they have one yet for the AI specialist exam. However, that can change in the future. It looks like you'll have to create the admin certification maintenance module for this once a year. I don't know how that would work for if you don't have the admin certification, but you do have the AI specialist certification. That would probably be a very niche scenario. But I don't imagine too many people who have the admin or who are taking this exam do not already have the admin. So just make sure that you're checking back every couple of months. I like to check back at very, very least once a year, if not multiple times a year, so that I don't let my certifications expire, which is a bummer. But yeah, I hope that you found this video helpful. I'm not sure when I'm going to take this exam, but I hope to take it within the few weeks after the certification is released on September 9th. So that's something that I will be looking forward to. And I'll let you guys know how that goes. I would like to create a certification course on this. I don't know when that will be because I have a few courses that are in progress that are tricky that I'm trying to release for you guys to hopefully help you pass on the first try. But keep an eye out for those. Let me know if you take it, if you would appreciate a course on this, if you would like one. I know my AI associate course, like there's 10,000 people that have taken that course and you guys really love it. So I would hope to release one of these in the next year or so, dependent on kids mostly and my schedule. But I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, ask any questions down in the comments. I'll do my best to reply. And I know other people in the comments are super helpful as far as answering questions. Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter at EmilyCallMBA. Thanks so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one.